go. Nice and easy. No way out, little guys. Not out of this jam.
There's a cylinder on the ground in which the man is arranging some netting. It looks like some kind of trap. He notices you.
Who's there? Oh, the police. Hello, officers.
His self-conscious enthusiasm renders his movements ungainly. He looks like your understanding of a scientist.
Is that the police? Why are the police here?
Don't worry, Gary. I'll handle it. To what do I owe the pleasure? Of course. Thank you for passing along the message. That damn water lock is broken, and we can't go all the way around the AL-81. You broke the water lock with a motor carriage? There was a billboard in the canal. Not a vehicle. It said Samaran Butter.
Did he say we can go back now?
Yes, Gary. We can go soon. If you see Lena, tell her I won't be long.
Sir, your wife is waiting for you.
I just have to do one more round. See if the phasmid has taken the bait. Then we're going. Well, first of all, it's damn difficult to find, which is why we've been knee-deep in the reeds laying traps for it. Good question. Being a phasmid of the order Phantasmodea, a ghost insect, it disguises itself as plant matter. In this case, the reeds. Awful lot of reeds around, aren't there? And I suspect it may have also developed other specialised techniques to protect itself from predators, or scientists in our present case. It's my hypothesis that it has evolved certain electrochemical defences that allow it to interfere with animal perception, impeding pattern recognition, confusing the visual cortex. But I cannot describe how these defences work, much less how they evolved, without studying a live specimen.
Yes, it makes perfect sense. You're beginning to suspect there's something paranatural about this phasmid.
I'm expecting it to be quite giant. One known species of phasmid, called the Megaphasmodea zoensis, is about the size of a grown man's forearm, so, typical rookie assumption. Insects are much more sophisticated creatures than those unversed in zoology give them credit for. Even simply catching a glimpse of the Insulindian phasmid would be the apex of my, of any, cryptozoologist's career. But to study it and its defences, find out how it stayed hidden so long. Very little, I'm sorry to say. No one's ever captured a specimen, so all our information is based on first and third-hand accounts. Not yet. That's what makes it a cryptid.
Just out of curiosity, if there's no proof of its existence, how do you know it's real?
I know it's real. By which I mean, I've heard enough first-hand accounts to believe quite firmly that the Insulindian phasmid is more than mere superstition. There was a credible sighting here recently. A pair of teenagers described a creature that matched the Insulindian phasmid to an uncanny degree, despite not knowing what it was themselves. It's the first credible sighting in several decades. Admittedly, it's an unusual location for this species, but with all the sewage runoff upstream, it probably doesn't matter much anymore. I have to resist the thought. Such an extraordinary creature is doubtlessly highly resilient. After all, it's generally thought to be capable of parthenogenesis. Yes, the females don't need males to reproduce. Makes it easier for a species to survive in adverse conditions. Yes, the Insulindian phasmid is a very clever insect. That's why it's so damn difficult to catch. But as a scientist, I'll try my best to remain dispassionate.
There's nothing dispassionate about the way he talks about the insect.
I've just always liked animals and puzzles. Searching for cryptids is a bit of both.
He seems reluctant to talk about himself, but he'll open up, if you prod a little.
No. Very few cryptids are ever discovered, and not for a lack of trying. To stay hidden is a cryptid's primary quality. It's even in the name, cryptid. Of the list of cryptids kept by the Cryptozoological Society of Chemnee, which is 4,082 items long, about 2,000 have been confirmed as hoaxes. 2 are categorized as confirmed discoveries. The rest are in differing stages of discovery, refutation, and data collection. Yes, the Chateauquan forest pygmy, who turned out to be an extinct species of primate, and a cave salamander from Hugo Grad, who is, honestly, quite unremarkable. It's in a zoo somewhere. We cryptozoologists are brutally honest with ourselves. More so even than the public. With cryptids, most cryptids are hoaxes or they are never found. That does not mean we should stop searching. Indeed. If our expedition is successful, every paper in the world will report on it. From Revachol to Dushantu. It will be a zoological miracle. It's not child's play, just because I have to traipse through the mud every so often. Yes? Well, they may not look impressive, but Lena designed them quite cleverly, so I'm sure they'll do the trick. Simple. Attracted by the locusts, the phasmid crawls down the funnel and, having eaten its fill, can't get back out. At least, that's the intention. The net isn't a perfect solution, but we didn't want to use anything that might damage the specimen's delicate exoskeleton. Locusts. Nearly all known phasmids are herbivores, of course, but we've hypothesized that the Insulindian phasmid might occasionally prey on other insects.
Inside the traps, a number of locusts crawl and tumble over one another in a tiny, chittering swarm.
They'll work, I assure you. The predatory hypothesis, using locusts as bait, accounts for the failure of previous efforts by other teams, which use plants. We have given this some thought.
The traps do seem to be deftly and thoughtfully constructed. It's clear the cryptozoologist's wife knows what she's doing.
Yes.
More than some, he admires this about her.
Yes. What? And I'm eager to return to her, I assure you. But I can't leave before we finish with these traps. My wife understands that just as well as anyone.
Come on, Morale. We've been soaking out here for days. It's time to go back.
And leave the traps? Absolutely not. I won't let Lena down.
Come on, she wants us back. I'm soaked up to my nuts over here. We'll both catch reed crabs if we don't dry out soon.
Won't let Lena down. Sounds like the cryptozoologist's wife shares a special connection to the phasmid somehow.
Of course it's important to her. She's seen it. A verified sighting, on record. One of only 4 this century, and it's hers.
She's seen it?
Yes. That's how we first came to know one another, in fact. But that's her story to tell, not mine.
Needless to say, You must ask her about the mysterious phasmid.
Suffice to say, it's long been our dream to find proof of the Insulindian phasmid together. I can't abandon course now. No. The traps need to be monitored on a regular schedule. What would we do if the phasmid were to starve while we were sipping tea at the hostel?
He's dead set on this. I could go for some trap setting.
I didn't expect you to take such an interest in our work here, officer. Yes, indeed. Both require a great deal of research, attention to detail, and, above all, persistence. There are 4 in total. One is to the south, on this little peninsula, by the boathouses there. It's very near. Another we set in Land's End, to the northeast. It's behind a small sand dune there, on your way to the old radio tower, after the church. The third is set near the canal, where you crossed, by a concrete slab. A big thicket of reeds going up the slope, and among them, you should check at least one of those before returning to this one, since I just said it. This one's more of a technicality, but still, better safe and stupid than sorry.
That seems like a lot. Do we really have time for this extracurricular venture? Is it?
If you think it's important, you have been right before.
Bring it to me at once. Just make sure the trap is closed tight. That's highly unlikely, officer. But in the event you do, I'll spray you with a pheromone mixture I developed. It's made of musk and research chemicals. The pheromone should attract the insect to you, or at least prevent it from bolting at the sight of you. It's quite potent. Will last you about a week.
I hope you're not buying this. He dispenses it without letting you touch the canister, so it would be precious like holy water.
It is precious. A single dose cost me 50 real to develop. Not that I expect you to understand self-financing one's own research.
Right, which means you two can pack up and go back to the whirling.
Whatever he thinks about this detour, it's clear that these men are exhausted and in need of assistance.
Finally, someone's talking sense.
Thank you for your help. Gary and I will start breaking down camp. If you have any more questions, now's the time to ask. We'll be gone once you get to it.
What about his eager-to-leave friend Gary there? Talk to him too, perhaps.
All right. What cryptids precisely? I usually discuss these things with specialists, so I don't know what.
You need to ask him about specific cryptids. Cryptids you've heard about from Lena, or his friend Gary. He won't just talk.
Formerly the most dangerous, yes. But do you know the most dangerous living cryptid?
He doesn't want to make it feel like you knowing it is some big deal.
Believe me, you won't guess it. You either know or you don't. The most dangerous cryptid is a carnivorous ruminant, known colloquially as the dread moose. Yes, the dread moose subsists entirely on flesh. It has even been known to dig up fresh graves in search of sustenance. Human remains have been found deep in the forest, torn apart, then trampled into the mulch by large hooves. Infer from that what you will. Just like an ordinary ardent moose. You can't. That's what makes it so dreadful and hard to identify. The bodies found in the forest are just one piece of physical evidence. There's more. The recent surge in the moose population has hidden carnivores. The dread moose are effectively removing competition for both themselves and their evolutionary cousins. Moose are already being hunted for sport. Can you imagine what would happen if they came to be viewed as predators? The carnivorous moose are a very young species, the result of a genetic mutation that fared well in the process of natural selection. It makes sense that such a majestic animal with natural weapons, antlers, would come to rule the forest. The only strange thing is that it took so long.
He sees in a dread moose something perversely beautiful and just.
One slaughterhouse at the outskirts of the woods in Vasa reported that its staff kept seeing moose in the distance. The moose would just stare at the building, as though they were waiting for something, its eyes bloodshot and full of cruelty. But that's not all. Some of the slaughterhouse apprentices went hiking by a nearby creek and saw a moose nibbling on an unidentified carcass. Anyway, there is more than enough evidence to justify a thorough search for the dread moose. Let's close the subject before it turns into an argument.
Here is a man who has had more than his fair share of heated arguments, and would, surprising as it may seem, prefer not to have any more.
By all means.
Hello, I'm Gary. Very generous of you to help us out, officer. Yellow man. I mean, officer.
The lieutenant raises his eyebrows slightly and takes out his notebook. Yellow man. That sounds awfully familiar. Something to keep in mind for later.
I'm just waiting for my friend Morel to finish up with his insect traps so we can return to civilization. I like nature, just not this bloody coast. It's mostly drunks and degenerates that come here. Dark times will do that to good men.
Serious question time. This man is no innocent. No one is.
My mug? Why would you think that? Really? I hear it all the time. All in jest, of course. No offense meant to anyone. Okay, I admit it. I threw the mug away in the trash container behind the hostel. I know I shouldn't have, and I am very sorry, officer. You're not going to find me, are you?
Using a standard form, officer. It's 50 real. You're getting off easy. In return, we expect information. You have questions to answer, sir.
What did you do, Gary?
Nothing. Just answering some questions. Helping out the law. I know a guy who works with the trash collection services. CS Municipal. He gave me a master key for the trash containers of Martinez, so I can use the Whirling's trash compactor to store my own stuff. Garbage disposal is expensive as hell. The damn Hemians run it like a mob. I'm sorry, okay? I thought I could cut costs. I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have disgraced myself.
Disgraced? No need for the histrionic, sir. It was, after all, just a trash container.
He studies his reaction. Gary doesn't answer.
Officer, please. Let me explain. It's not like that. I was only cleaning up. I live right across the yard from where he was hanged, and I saw him stripped naked. All the clothes lying around in the yard, smelling. People are animals, you know? Then I came out to clean up the rags because no one else would. I put them into the Whirling's trash, along with a broken mug, admittedly. Okay, I was coming to throw the mug away, and, well, I threw the mug there and the clothes too.
Right. It was just civic duty.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. Civic duty.
As he shifts uncomfortably, a series of clicks, like the clinking of glass beads against one another as they roll across a hardwood floor. You've heard this sound before, but where?
What sound? Really? There's lots of weird stuff out here in the reeds, though. Insects, trash. Could be the wind shifting some garbage nearby.
The sound you heard was not the sound of something easily abandoned.
What sound? I haven't the slightest. There's lots of weird stuff out here in the reeds, though.
The sound you heard was not the sound of something easily abandoned.
Armor? No. I mean, yes. Of course. I know he was wearing armor, but I don't know anything about it.
There's something going on here. You should observe him more closely after this topic is concluded.
I hope I can help your investigation, in my small way.
Wait, does this mean you've been in his apartment on Everart's behalf? That was his colonial mug collection. Perhaps this could soften him up further.
Not many Sealites here, or anywhere, other than Sale. I meant no offense, truly. No problem at all. No. I help Morel with research sometimes, and I've learned some things along the way, but I don't usually go in for picnics like this on my own.
There probably is a follow-up to this, but you can't think of any. Doesn't matter. Waste of time anyway. Gotta keep moving.
I told you everything I know, sir. I'm truly sorry for the mug, but I have nothing to do with that.
He's not feeling too comfortable in his own skin. Odd, I'd say.
Sure do, officer.
His eyes narrow slightly. He's wondering where this is going.
In my home. Yes. When I was going to... How did you know? Mr. Clare unlocked my apartment? So you work for Everard Clare? Officer, please tell him we're good. No, tell him I'll make it up to him. What have I done? He'll send the muscle after me.
As he lowers his tone, he hunches his back.
Of course. I won't do it again. If there's anything I can do to assist you, or the Union, just ask, okay? I'll try to help if I can.
This scared him proper. He's positively melting from fear. Has to prop himself up with a lot of anger to keep it together.
The weather vane has turned. He cannot be unturned.
He clearly liked his squirming. He may even have changed his mind about the whole door-opening operation.
Always a pleasure to... I mean, officers.
That shirt looks very uncomfortable on him. Look at the buttons, barely keeping that thing together, as if something is ready to rip out from underneath. Yes, like a piece of ceramic armor, for example. One that makes a clicking sound when the plates meet each other, resembling pearls or marbles, stolen from the corpse in the yard near where he lives.
I knew you'd figure it out, officer. I'm sorry I didn't tell you at once. I was ashamed of what I did. And I didn't want you to know.
This shame is surprisingly sincere.
Gary, what's going on?
Later, Morale. I've got apologizing to do.
No, you've got explaining to do.
Everyone was picking those pieces off him, and I was watching them do it. And they'd scattered his clothes all over the yard. Everything was smelling. So I went there to take out the trash and started cleaning up. All those rags on the ground, him swinging up there, and I had a lapse of honor, sir. I thought, he's a foreigner. They all say he wasn't from here. Only the cuirass was left. So I stripped it off him. It was early in the morning. No one saw me. I took it with me. It was a mistake. Had I known it'd give you guys trouble, I wouldn't have... Fuck.
It's okay. It was a loose end, and you are tying it up now.
I'm so fucking sorry I called you Yellow Man. Sealite officers commanded the suzerain's navy. Most of them sided with the king when...
It's difficult to say what the lieutenant thinks of this historic apology. His face does not belie emotions. He sighs again, hangs his head, and unbuttons his shirt fully. A cuirass that matches the dead man's boots comes into view. Soon it is in your hands, smelling of his sweat, but so light to hold, like a bag of cotton.
I always thought it was the Union, but I sure as hell won't go around saying that anymore. You have my word. I don't know, and I won't be running my mouth on this subject anymore. Because I was weak. I should have told you the moment I saw you, but...
The hell, Gary? You in trouble?
I'll explain later. Yes, absolutely. I will never do anything like this again. I won't mess with Mr. Clare either. You have my word.
Yes?
That patch of reeds over there, it's a great place to hide something. Kind of out of the way, being so close to the water. You don't have a reason to. Yet. Nothing. Just a hunch. The hunch passes, leaving you there, by the old boy bobbing in the water. Time to go.
Yes?
You see a set of tire tracks in the brown slush that covers. The tire tracks were left here by an unknown event that took place some days ago. It's a message, written in the language of burnt rubber. Some of that rubber stuck to the tiles right in front of the whirling in rags. This is point A. The driver started there, and then accelerated straight into the fence, left a hole big enough for the Franco-Nigerian cavalry, according to the cafeteria manager. Why that pang of guilt again? The driver proceeded to back out of the yard, barely stopping before hitting the adjacent building. Before heading south, must have been in a hurry.
No wonder the cafeteria manager seemed frustrated when he was giving us directions to the yard. Well, you did provide us with a very convenient access point to the crime scene.
The stage is all set up for your performance. Feels silent. You can hear the pellets creak under your feet. You feel a little dizzy, a little unsteady suddenly.
So, are you ready for your thing now? Let me know when I should turn on the karaoke carousel.
I can see that.
Immediately, a loud feedback noise startles the room. You feel like an amateur. How are you supposed to hold the mic? Should you just sing into it? Where should you stand? Hands. Where do you put your hands? The air is thick with anticipation. Someone dims the lights as the music starts. A lump's in your throat suddenly.
I would often go there to the tiny church there, the smallest church in San, though it once was larger. How the real may rest there, down through the mist there, towards the Seven Sisters, towards those pale cliffs there. I would often stay there in the tiny yard there. I have been so glad here, looking forward to the past here. But now you're all alone. None of this matters. At all.
Do you hear that? It's the most pathetic applause in the world, Harry, made of pity. No one liked you. Your words echo in the karaoke mic. People talk in the distance. A couple tries not to look at you.
Quit yelling into the mic!
You hear, or think you hear, uncomfortable shifting around. A bit of laughter maybe. No one saying anything.
I'm gonna unplug the mic now, okay? That's it. I'm unplugging it.
That's it. You're unpowered.
Let's go, officer. These people wouldn't know a good performance if it beat them in the ass. Detective Dubois, it was downright tragic. Now, let's go.
I mean it, he thinks. The stage, you feel
So, are you ready for...
the air is thick with anticipation. Someone dims the lights as the music starts. Okay, here we go.
I would often go there to the tiny church there, the smallest church in San, though it once was larger. How the real may rest there, down through the mist there, toward the Seven Sisters, toward those pale cliffs there. I would often stay there, in that tiny yard there. I have been so glad here. Looking forward to the past here. But now, you are all alone. None of this matters. No, none of this matters at all.
A lazy applause fills the room. You feel your hands shake as awareness of your body returns to you. The lieutenant doesn't say anything, but gives you a quick smile before turning away. He's incapable of blushing, but if he weren't, he'd blush.
Good, good. Are we ready? I want to unplug the microphone now.
Last words?
Yes?
Oh, hello, dear. There you are again. Goodness, how is he? Did he say why he hasn't returned yet?
He's fine, ma'am. As we had suspected, he couldn't get back earlier because the water lock on the canal was broken. Now he's just finishing up somewhere.
Oh, yes. That's my Morel. He's bound to catch a cold staying out there for so long. But I am so relieved to hear that he's okay. Thank you for putting an old woman's heart at ease, if even a little.
You haven't, however. There are dangers out there. Our aging body's foul. Her heart won't rest until Morel is safely back with her.
Oh, you don't want to hear about some old woman's ramblings.
Reflexively, the lieutenant readies his familiar notebook.
Well, it was summer. I was building a racing track out of sand on the beach near a tall stand of reeds. Quite a tall one. Many times my height, I remember. When, all of a sudden, I looked up and one of the reeds moved. Not like a plant, but like a living thing. It stood up and looked at me. Its body unfolded like some antique toy. I'd never seen anything like it. The reeds turned into a creature. I didn't know this can happen, so I reached my arm and touched the thing. It felt just like a stalk of reed, but it moved, swaying, towering above me. After a while, 20 seconds, a minute maybe, it left, went into the reeds. I tried, but I was only a child. There was mud and high water. I couldn't see it anymore. I was just standing there, knee-deep in mud, looking around me.
Where did you go? Don't go.
I ran back home to my grandmother and asked her if reeds could walk, and told her they were looking at me. Of course, she just laughed at me, but I knew what I'd seen. For years, it was a story I told at parties when I wanted to impress boys. That sort of thing. Of course, most people just took it as a strange, amusing anecdote. So did I, honestly. But then I met Morel. We were on our first date when I told him my story. You should have seen his face. He said my descriptions matched the phasmid down to a T. Its white marble limbs, the way it moved.
So that's how they met. This is beyond significant for them.
It's hard to say how big things are when you're quite small yourself. To me, it seemed to be taller than I was then, but that's probably not the case. Not all of them, as far as I remember. Some of them on the inside like stalks of marble, if that makes sense.
I thought it was a wonderful story, man.
But I don't believe it. A child left unattended on a warm day. Children make up stories and then end up believing them.
You're welcome, sweetie. I do appreciate the chance to relive it whenever I get one. It was just such an impossibly sunshiny day. So warm.
And she could get up and walk right into the reeds on her own, into the mud, anywhere.
Yes? What is it? That was pretty good, Harry. Wasn't it, Jean?
Whoa, how does she know your name? She probably heard it from somewhere. You have to be more careful, Karaoke Star. Names are dangerous.
Huh, that was. Yeah, that was absolute shit, if you want my opinion. Drunken shit. Haven't wanted anything to end this badly since I had cluster headaches. Horrible. Truly horrible. I beg of you, don't ever subject anyone to this torture again. I mean, seriously, you need to...
Jean, it's not right. Don't make it worse, and I really liked it.
She actually did.
God damn it, you leave her alone. Keep your weird bullshit to yourself and be professional for once, for fuck's sake.
Can I actually help you with something?
Yes, of course. Preposterous. I mean, you would remember if they were, right? Who forgets their squad mates? That's not possible.
Yes, I called you by your name. What about it? Good. Everybody knows your name. Please go finish your investigation, so everyone can go home. Of course I'm with him. Why do you ask?
You're an asshole. You know what? Maybe we're both assholes.
Please, let's not turn this into another exchange, okay? Of course I'm with him. Why do you ask?
Well, he's not. He's a sack of shit barely kept together by crazy glue. But at least he tries, unlike you.
Please, let's not turn this into an...
Gendarmerie, you found me.
It feels like a Friday. He seems to be in a good mood tonight.
Beautiful. So tell me, are you here to make things right again? Beautiful. I have some good news for you. My Sunday friend is visiting me tonight. I told him about you and he'd like to say hello. Step in. He's already waiting. Yeah, it does feel like the end of the week. Such gentle weather. That's nice, but I don't have anything to tell you. It's my friend you're looking for, not me.
He takes another drag of his unfiltered cigarette and looks around. It's getting dark and the neighboring windows have lit up, one by one. Downstairs, a cat crosses the yard, disappearing into the bush.
Besides, I've got to run.
He's going to leave you alone again. That's sad. Something tells you you're never going to talk to an individual this cool or mysterious ever again.
To the city. It's a beautiful night.
Something flutters in the corner of the lieutenant's mouth as you're saying those words.
We'll talk. Just not tonight. Take care, all right?
Different, of course. He smells good. He smells good, and that's weird.
He's barely holding it together. It's all he can do to keep from bursting out in laughter.
Come on, detective, let's go. We've got a potential witness to interview. His Sunday friend, remember?
You have acquired the robe. Keep it, officer. It looks good on you.
You shouldn't be seeing him in an intimate setting. For some reason you feel this man is your superior. Superior, but he's not in the command chain. His hands are clean and well manicured. This is a man who knows the importance of appearances.
My name is Charles Vildrouin, and I am an official with the coalition government. I work for the Institute of Price Stabilité on assignment from Sur-la-Clé. I heard you talking to my friend outside. Very good. Super. I am here to assist you in any way possible. Ask me about the hanging.
No, first ask an innocuous personal question to get the interview off on the right foot. Yes, make it clear you're the one setting the terms here.
Oh, we got it from an atelier in the East Delta Commerce Center. Personally, I think it's a little culturally insensitive, but the material is great. Sadly, the shop is now out of business. That's really all I can tell you about it.
That didn't work at all. The lieutenant takes out his notebook and nods to you to proceed.
I'm sorry to say I did, officer.
He didn't see the hanging. He saw the little show staged by the Hardys. Let him talk. He may know more than even he knows.
Officer, it's very difficult to describe what I saw that night. It was so surreal to me, like in a play.
He holds out his hands and blossoms his fingers, like a drama teacher setting the scene.
What do you mean, like in a play?
It was just so strange. I could barely comprehend what was happening. I was on the balcony when it happened, getting some fresh air. I remember that first they came in, carrying what looked like a body. And then I saw all the surrounding windows go dead, one by one. That's when I understood. I should not be seeing this.
That lines up with previous testimony, doesn't it? Well done, detective.
Only that there were about 8 or 10. I couldn't make out anything. It was so dark. And it was quiet. Quietest lynching I've ever heard of, let alone heard. But I suspect you knew that already. I can't say I'm surprised. The fine reputation of the men and women serving in the RCM is well deserved. The coalition is only looking out for the price stability. Inflation is a killer, like a heart disease blocking the normal circulation of the economy. It must be controlled. The economy impacts the entire international community, which is why it requires international oversight. Well, I'm renovating it. It is an interesting project. The building used to be a 12-story skyscraper before the cannons took the top 4 stories off. This, of course, happened when the coalition forces landed here. You could say I'm undoing some of the material damage the international community caused when we arrived here. Yes, as I said before, I am a commissioner from Sur-la-Clé working for the Institute of Price Stabilité. This is one of the main projects of the Moral Inter. La communauté internationale is what Revacholians colloquially call the coalition. In other words, the nations that stopped the disaster of the revolution. Whatever you wish, officer. Ah, my friend. My friend is a good young man. His family immigrated here from Kedra, and life has not been easy for him. But he understands the importance of education. He has taken his future into his own hands, and that's all that matters. I'm just enjoying the view. Listen.
The baby is crying in the neighboring apartment.
No, listen. The Insulindian Bay. This place used to be a luxury accommodation before the revolution. Apartments, of course, were much bigger then. A few walls have been added here and there, leaving some of the tenants without a private bathroom or a kitchen. But the million real view stays. You can't take that away. My friend comes and goes. I'm sure you'll see him around. He's a busy bee. Sorry, who? But I told you, officer. He's a bright young man here to pursue his education. Education is the foundation of our future, especially the arts. It is a cornerstone of our civilization. Officer, you have to understand. I can't give you his personal information. I'm sure you have your own methods and databases, right? Please don't put me in this situation. He's deeply enmeshed in the study of the fine arts, yes. He's a truly free spirit. He likes all the arts. Perhaps graphic design, printmaking, who knows? The world is open wide for a talented youth like him. How did any of us become friends? Bad things happening on the Insulindian Isola? Oil platforms ablaze in the night, civil wars lasting for years. Finally, the international community is forced to step in. One of the wonders of democracy is that everyone is allowed to have his own opinion. And not just allowed, encouraged even. Have you ever tried debate?
There's a joke here, and you know what it is.
Oh, how wonderful. I've heard it's oodles of fun. Not that I have time to take up new hobbies myself.
The lieutenant lets out a long, nasal sigh.
I'm all ears, officer. A moment, officer. Do you have everything you need from me? I'm afraid we won't have the chance to speak again once you leave. It's against diplomatic best practices for an official in my position to be discussing murders with local militiamen. And I'm pressed for time. After you leave, I should be leaving as well. Of course. I'm glad I could help.
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. Yeah. Why? It's a wall. Just an ordinary wall. Because you see it, finally. This wall is sublime. Look at it. The shadows, the colors. All the other walls on all the other houses must make a pilgrimage in adoration of this, the uncontested pinnacle of wallcraft, color peeled from the very face of God. O Wall Father. Huh? He sounds tired of it all.
Sure. I suppose we have to pass by it again at some point anyway.
It's getting late and it's snowing. Time to call it a day.
Good night, officer. We'll meet in front of the shack in the morning.
An old mirror hangs on the wall. You see the reflection of your face in it, such as it is. A regular, clean-shaven police officer. On the table, you see a bowl of water. The bed is comforting, if a bit run down. Still, you've earned a rest. Across the room, the heating system hums its soft lullaby. The mattress feels soft and sheets warm. It only takes you moments for the world to fall away.
Thoughts, baby. A million little lights in the dark. You're one fine instrument, brother. All those faces and all those names. All that laughter and screaming and scheming around. Every corner and every street.
Recorded in you forever on Faraday.
No, you're spinning tapes at the discotheque. The great unceasing disco of the mind. The flash, the bang, the endless learning experience. On and on it goes, for untold hours. At the disco where you first asked her to dance. Rising, rising, above the dark curvature, the great wingspan of sleep, studded with stars.
Behold, there are millions of them down there. The first time, the last time, the smoke in her mouth, the plotted flowers, the faces turning, changing.
It's the world, Harry boy, and you're made of it. Every day you're out there, you make more of yourself from it. I'm afraid you can't be unmade now. You can never forget this shit.
Beautiful. It's stuck on loop, whirling, spitting out words and images.
You're the son of the world again. Harrister, a ceaseless agent, picking up litter and old newspapers, collecting your little bubblegum wrappers and idiotic picture postcards. Meaningless, meaningless keepsakes.
Reading your awful letters and recalling things, aren't you? The endless names of the world. An address book you are. The map of a city.
You'll go insane if you keep going like this. One more day, and you'll be in the loony bin. I just know you will. And for what, brother man?
For the working class.
Solving your little crossword puzzles. Doing your tasks. Crossing names off lists. Trying to become some sort of world detector. It won't make it okay. It won't put smoke back in her mouth. There he goes again. He's a real political animal, our Harry. He still doesn't see that it's the world changing around him.
He's got no idea what he's in for.
Beep, beep, beep. The alarm is ringing, Harry. The disco circus goes on and on. You barely slept 3 hours last night.
You can do it. It's nothing. Do it for the city. Go. Rise and shine, comrade. It's time to get to work. Despite all the thinking you've been doing, only 0.0001% of communism has been built. It's too great a task to undertake alone. You're going to have to get organized. You must seek out your revolutionary brothers and sisters. Find out how much communism they've built. Then, together, maybe you'll be able to build as much as 0.0002% of communism. But it won't be easy. Decades of persecution by coalition authorities have driven the remaining communists of Martinaise underground. They live underground. These communists aren't men. They're mole people. Possibly. If you have been, it's only because you're a double agent acting in furtherance of your long-term objectives. Regardless, what's past is past. You need to look forward to the work of building communism for all. Just between us, you may want to lay off this grind up the bourgeoisie stuff. It's a bit off-putting, even to fellow communists. Let your nose guide you, detective. Yes, fortunately, communists are known to have a very distinct smell. We really have no idea what they're talking about. There's no linkage between ideology and olfaction. Failure. It's a smell you know all too well, simultaneously repulsive and yet darkly appealing. Musty with a sharp tang, but also a remnant of lost sweetness, like a rotting mango that's been swaddled in a coat from your grandfather's attic. What you're smelling is your own body odor, of course. Nothing a shower and change of clothes couldn't fix. People sometimes complain there are no real communists left in Martinaise, but you can smell their presence. They're out there, waiting for you to join them. First, you'll have to locate the remaining communists in Martinaise. When you get near to someone with revolutionary potential, your nose will give you the signal to establish contact. Again, no, it won't. Any olfactory response you perceive will be strictly psychosomatic. You should begin by interrogating those lawless malcontents at the Dock Workers Union. They're an obvious place to start. You'll discuss the monumental world historical task that lies before you. You'll engage in rigorous and spirited debates about Mazovian theory and practice. But mostly, you'll probably complain about other communists. Here we go. Wake, brave worker. 'Tis no time for bed. Fight till there's no slaves below, and no masters o'erhead.